Today we're going to finish up with part 2 of our origami blinking dragon eye, and today we're going to add the details and finish up our folds. First, let's talk about the details. First, let's take a look at some of the dragon eyes. There's lots of different details that you can add. You can use bright colors, you can blend by using your finger if you choose to use oil pastels, or you can blend by layering with crayon. If we look closer at some of the dragon eyes, you can really see the light reflection, so I want you to take note of that when you're adding your details into your origami. When we're finished today, you're going to have a blinking dragon eye where you're going to decorate the outside and the inside. The materials you'll need for today are your project from last week, some crayons, markers, colored pencils, or oil pastels. Up here, and now what we're going to do is we're going to stop now and we're going to draw in the center and we're going to draw our origami dragon eye. So now you're going to use either pastels, markers, crayons, whatever you like to use to add your color. I'm going to use some oil pastels, and I'm going to use one of my Sharpies to draw the outline. So you can use a pencil or you can use oil pastels to draw the center. So now we're going to start to draw in the center, and we're going to keep these flaps down. And actually, you know what, if you want to move them a little bit out of the way, you can, but we want to start in the center. So we're going to start in the center and we're going to draw a circle shape. If you want to use something to trace, you can use something to trace, or you can just go ahead and free draw it yourself. Once we do that, we're going to add a diamond in the center to make our dragon eye. And what we're going to do is we're going to add kind of like, I'm going to put 2 boxes here, and these are just kind of going to stay white whenever we start adding our color, because we kind of want it to look like it's flickering the sunlight. And I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to add another one in here. Now, you can go ahead, and if you want to go ahead and fill in the center, you can fill in the center of your dragon eye with your Sharpie, or if you're using pastels or markers, use the black to fill in the center of our dragon eye. We're just coloring this part in. And you'll notice on the how to draw paper, if you decided you wanted to look at it on the computer, it's a little bit different. Each dragon eye can be different if you want it to be. I'm just going to go ahead because I want this to be nice and bold. So I'm going to just go back over it, and I'm going to make it a little bit bolder. There's no wrong way to draw your eye. This is just for fun. Now we're ready to add some color around our eye. So you can choose whatever kind of colors that you want to. I'm going to show you how we would add value, kind of like when we did our big giant wave. And we went from like a darker shade to a lighter shade. That's how we add value. So we're going to add some value. I'm actually going to make my dragon eye red on the center. So I'm going to start with my darkest color, and I'm going to go around the outside. And I'm adding some dark. And again, it's kind of like when we did our big giant wave right before we left for break. And we started with the darker blue. In this case, I'm going to start with my darker red, and I'm going to go around the inside of the eye. And now I'm going to take my pink, because it's just a lighter shade. Usually when we discuss value, it's the same shade, and it's one color that goes from its darkest to its lightest, but we're going to improvise with what we have. So right now we're going to make it look like it is going and it's fading. It's kind of like an ombre color, really. And I'm going to actually use my peach to go in the center. Pastels are really great for blending. So if you have pastels, I recommend pastels because they just look the prettiest when we do it. And if you need to go back over, you know when we use pastels, just like when we use the wave at the very end, we wanted to kind of go back over our Sharpie if we lost our Sharpie line. So you can take this time now to use the black pastel if you want to fill in some of the spots that you may have lost if you were using pastels. And if you're using markers or crayons, really I just want you to color the inside of the eye. I'd like to see what kind of color creations you choose. And again, there's no wrong way to do this. You don't have to use the oil pastels. This is just one option. Now, on your how to draw paper, I kind of added some extra details around the eye, like the scales, that way we would see maybe on a dragon. So if you would like to take the time, you can go ahead and you can add some of the extra details that you may see inside a dragon eye. Use your imagination. This is your dragon eye. So again, there's no wrong way to do it. And we're just kind of adding, I'm just adding some small scales maybe in here, just to give it a little more. Add a little texture to the inner part of a dragon eye. And then once you're finished drawing, I'm going to show you how to fold it back up, and then we're going to be able to make it blink. So right now we're just working on the inside. All right, so once we have that part, now we're ready for the next step. On the next step, we want to continue to fold it up. So we're going to close the eye now, back up, and you're going to close it completely. Be prepared that if you did use a Sharpie, like I did, it is going to maybe bleed through if your paper is not that, if it's too thin, it's going to bleed through a little bit, but if it's thick, it may not. So if you want to use Sharpie, use Sharpie. If you don't want it to bleed through, you don't have to. I'm actually going to just work with this part of how it bled through, and I'm going to use this because I know this isn't going to bleed through, and I'm going to add more scales because this is going to be our eyelid. So right now I'm adding the scales that are going to go around, and I'm just adding some extra scales around. And I'm working with the pieces that already bled through from the Sharpie from when I did the inside of the eye. I'm just kind of working with it. So this is a kind of a nice way to fix a mistake. And we call that maybe a happy mistake, because it doesn't necessarily mean it's a mistake, we just fixed it. And we made it into part of our artwork. And really, you might not even be able to tell. Well, that's what we're hoping. So now we have our eyelid closed, and the eye is in the center, and now we have our eyelid. All right, and now, once you're done with this part, and you've drawn your eyelid and your scales, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. You're gonna flip it upside down, so you're gonna flip it over. And now we should be able to see this on the back, and there should be nothing, it should just be flat. And you're going to take each side, and you're going to fold it into the center. So you're gonna look for the center, and you're gonna take this piece, and you're gonna go corner to center. And you're gonna do it on both sides. So we're going corner to center. So corner to center there, corner to center there. Okay, so now we have our two corners. We want them just to barely touch, or touch, it's fine, but we don't want them to overlap. The main thing is we just don't want them to overlap. So once we have them here, this is kind of a tricky part. So this part I want you to watch closely. We're going to take this piece and it's going to fold in half. But we're only going to fold it up a little. So I'm just gonna show you, it's a little easier to show you. In the middle, right here at the bottom of the fold line, is where we're going to, sometimes it helps if you take your finger and you hold it. And you're gonna hold it tight while you start to fold this up. So you're just folding it on a slant. Okay, and this part, the top, the same thing. So pinch there, fold it. And what we're doing is we're creating it so that it can close here. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So again, pinching where you're going to fold kind of helps to guide your fingers along. And over here, pinch at the bottom and fold up. And what we're doing is we're making a little spot so that we can hold it and we can make our eye blink. So now that we have this part ready, you're going to want to flip it back over, and we are going to have our blinking dragon eye. So now you should have you be able to make your eye close and open, close and open. All right, I hope you enjoyed it.